Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Montgomery College. It is my great honor to open tonight's event and to welcome so many members of our community, students, neighbors, and partners alike, to our Germantown campus. We are thrilled to host this important conversation right here in Globe Hall, a space designed to bring people together for dialogue, reflection, and civic engagement. We are especially proud to welcome three distinguished leaders in public service: Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown, United States Representative April McLean Delaney, and Maryland Comptroller Brooke Lierman. I'd first like to echo the sentiment of our faculty and staff and say thank you all for choosing Montgomery College as the venue for this town hall. Your presence here underscores the vital role that open, accessible public engagement plays in our democracy. Tonight's discussion will give our community the opportunity to hear directly from our elected leaders about the work happening in Washington and Annapolis, and how national policy decisions, including those shaped by Congress and the White House, continue to affect the daily lives of Marylanders. At Montgomery College, we are deeply committed to creating inclusive, informed spaces where issues impacting our communities, education, justice, equity, and economic opportunity can be discussed freely and constructively. That is what this evening is all about. To our honored guests, thank you again for being here. We appreciate your service, your openness, and your enthusiasm to connect directly with your constituents. And to our audience, thank you for joining us and for participating in the conversation. Your voice matters, your questions matter, and gatherings like this help move us all forward together. It is now my pleasure to welcome our moderator for the evening, a distinguished leader and tireless advocate for education, families, and communities across our state, Maryland Senate Majority Leader Nancy J. King. Please welcome her.
It's much more fun being the MC tonight. Glad to be here with you tonight. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this town hall meeting tonight. My name, as they said, is Senator Nancy King, and I'll be serving as your moderator tonight. I'd like to say welcome to several of our elected officials that have shown up tonight. If you could all just kind of wave your hands and let people know you're here. Katie Fry Hester is here, maybe? She's a new senator that has part of Montgomery County. Delegate Lily Chee. Delegate Leslie Lopez. Delegate Natalie Ziegler. Delegate Linda Foley. Delegate Greg Wims. Delegate Julie Polakovich-Carr. Councilmember Evan Glass, I saw him up there. Councilmember Marilyn Balcom. Councilmember Lisa Henderson. Frederick County Board of Education member Karen Yoho. Councilmember Andrew Friedson, not here yet. Councilmember from the city of Gaithersburg, Yamil Hernandez. Mayor of the greatest city in the whole United States, Judd Ashman. Councilmember Robert Wu. And I think have I missed anybody? Oh, the sheriff is here, yes. Stand and wave, there you go. Okay, before I begin, I'd like to just go over a few ground rules to ensure this conversation is respectful and productive. Congresswoman April McLean Delaney, Attorney General Anthony Brown, and Comptroller Brooke Lierman are here to answer the questions you have. We have staff all around the auditorium to give an index card on, which you can write your question, and I saw about 1,000 of them out there in the hallway, and hand it back to be read aloud. Unfortunately, we will likely not get to all of your questions today, but please follow up with Representative McLean Delaney's, Attorney General Brown's, or Comptroller Learman's offices after the event, and there are also resource tables you can visit to speak to staff directly. We're all here to participate in our democracy, so please know that anyone causing a disruption will be asked to leave so others can continue to ask questions and enjoy this town hall meeting. Next, I'd like to invite Congresswoman McLean Delaney, Attorney General Brown, and Comptroller Brooke Learman to come out and join us on the stage. Now, if I could invite each of you to make some brief opening remarks.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Senator King, and thanks to Montgomery College. I really appreciate you making a place and a space for this dialogue. It's really important. And I have to say thank you to all of you who have shown up tonight. You know, at this time, it's really important to show up, stand up, and speak up for, you know, the future of our country and for our rights and for our values. I think it's really important. And I just have to say I'm honored, and I really thank my dear friends and incredible public servants, Comptroller Brooke Learman, who is an amazing person, but a staunch fighter for so many in Maryland, and of course, Attorney General Brown. And they are fierce public servants, and they protect what matters most, which is our health, our rights, and our kids' future. So a couple of things. I've done multiple town halls across the 6th and many town halls over the last few months. And let me tell you, everyone, and that means Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and as a member of Congress, I represent them all. Everyone is concerned about what is happening under this administration, including, you know, government funding freezes, the executive orders, program cuts, you know, obviously these agency rifts. But most specifically, and I think you'll hear a lot of dialogue tonight, is the reconciliation package, which I voted on July 3rd, a big no. It was incredibly big, but it was not beautiful. And in fact, it truly is the worst piece of legislation that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've worked in nonprofit advocacy for a long time. It is an act of enormous self-harm to the health and well-being of our country, and it threatens our country's future, both in terms of our U.S. competitiveness and our national security. And it does it for the sole purpose of extending 2017 tax cuts for the most wealthy. Just a little bit I want to go into, because it's such an abomination. This GOP-driven package included the largest cuts, as many of you know, to Medicaid and SNAP in our nation's history, and increases living costs for everyday Americans. It is estimated that more than 32,000 people in the 6th District could lose their health care, and nearly 1 in 9 families, half of them children, could lose food support through SNAP. Now, no one should ever go hungry, but particularly no child should ever go to school hungry. It is devastating. It's something I fought against so much in the Ag Committee, because SNAP is part of the Farm Bill. And further, the child tax credit has been gutted in making 1 in 4 children in our district ineligible for the full benefits, pushing more families into poverty. And rural hospitals and clinics, already struggling, will lose critical funding and Medicaid funds that keeps emergency rooms and maternity wards open. Because you know 50% of women in this country deliver on Medicaid. So why are we surrendering our future? This package almost, and it's just the fiscal hypocrisy of my colleagues across the aisle. They talk about efficiency and effectiveness and fiscal discipline. But this package adds almost $4 trillion to the national deficit and raises the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. I'm sure many of you have read it in the papers. But this will undercut our U.S. competitiveness, impact our U.S. bonds, increase interest rates, and leave unsustainable debt on future generations, including that of my daughter, who is sitting here in the crowd. And further, and equally as bad, it also turns over huge industries of the future like EV and clean energy, AI and innovation creation to China and our international competitors. In the past 6 months, the administration has hurt every district in this US Congress, but perhaps none more than mine, because you see, mine is a microcosm of America, from the farmers in Western Maryland to all of our government agencies that are research engines like NIST and NIH, National Institute of Cancer, Fort Detrick. And due to the recent Supreme Court decisions related to injunctions and the heartbreaking recent decision about the ability of the administration to resume mass firings, things are getting worse. Now, our office has dealt with almost 120,000 inquiries from my constituents, and we have opened hundreds of constituent cases, helping veterans with disabilities and benefits, assisting families with Social Security delays, and ensuring no one is left behind. Every message reminds me what's at stake. In recent months, I've been visiting food banks, schools, health centers, and community organizations, including the Up County Hub, a lifeline for many of the families in Montgomery County. Many of you must know it well. And standing up for my constituents is the center of my work and the work of our congressional office. And I have to lift up my congressional office. Sunny Holding and our whole team that is here has done unbelievable yeoman's work. But I feel like I am part of two incredible and collaborative teams in this effort. One, I'm part of Team Maryland. We have an amazing governor, and Governor Wes Moore. And you know, he's a hugger. He loves to hug, as we all know. But he cares deeply, and he shows up everywhere, like he did with me in Allegheny County when the floods came and he declared an emergency. But also Controller Lehrman and Attorney General Brown, and so many who are all working to ensure Maryland is prepared for the impact of these cuts. We're very lucky to be in Maryland. I also have to say I'm really lucky to be part of the federal delegation in Congress. I am working closely, and we have a really close-knit federal delegation that punches above its weight. And we are very much working in a coordinated fashion together to fight each day for all of Maryland, including the most recent announcement about the FBI being moved out of Maryland, to mitigate damage and to prepare for the day when we do take control back of Congress. Project 2026 for me. And are able to reverse some of these actions. That's why I'm here tonight, and that's why we're all here. Just before I turn it over, I do want to say a few things, a little silver lining, some positives that are making a difference. And you showing up is making a difference. You talking to your neighbors makes a difference. Being an ambassador and sharing on social makes a difference. But, our work is bearing fruit. I joined many partners urging the administration to reopen the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. Funding cuts had decided that they wanted to close classes for our firefighters and first responders. Kind of illogical. It's an essential training center for firefighters across the country. But I wrote a letter with several of my colleagues, and with our combined efforts, we were able to restore funding, and we were able to get it reopened again. And I'm working on legislation to ensure it remains open. And I shouldn't have to be doing that, but we are, and we have to. I'm also standing with local leaders to push for reopening a lab at Fort Detrick that was closed, protecting critical security and biomedical research missions. Opening back up this close lab is really vital for our nation's well-being. And I'm really committed to research and innovation and clawing back research funding for our agencies, our labs, and our universities. Research fuels innovation, encourages startups, and underpins so much business in the 6th District. And last, I'm really standing with many, including Attorney General Brown, in resisting the administration's attempts to undermine rule of law, the integrity of our courts, and our justice system. I'm a lawyer. I chaired the Georgetown Law Center Board for many years, and I think our courts are the backbone of our constitutional rights and our democracy. And if our courts hold, we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. It's going to be choppy, but we're going to get through this, and we're going to be able to turn this back. But I'm going to continue to support a judicial system that protects our constitutional rights. And I led a letter with Congressman Min against the 9 law firms who offered pro bono services to the administration. And it's having an impact. They are, I think, regretting what they did. There is a lot of fallout they're having, and the law firms who did fight against this coercion have won in court. So I'm just going to say we are responding to 120,000 individual requests to our office. There's more every week. It's like a 3-fold over normal congressional terms, but we will continue to answer your emails and appeals for help, 1 letter, 1 case, and 1 family at a time. And if we don't get to your questions, submit them, and we will personally follow up, because I want to answer each and every one of you. So thank you for showing up and standing up, for sharing your stories, and for believing in something. I promise you, I will not stop fighting for every family in America, in Maryland, and in the 6th District, so that they have the resources. And don't get tired. I mean, we're all tired. I could feel like this fight, but you have to fight, and fight hard, but fight strategically, and all row together. So with that, I thank you. I'm excited to hear your questions, and I'm going to hand it over to our Attorney General first for comments, and then on to our Controller.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative April McClain Delaney, and thank you to the 6th Congressional District for sending such a strong advocate and fighter to Capitol Hill. And the only of the few regrets that I have of no longer serving in Congress is that I don't have the opportunity to serve with April in Congress. But listen, thank you for coming out tonight. I'm going to be brief. I saw the stack of index cards. There are a lot of questions. I'm going to be brief. I am Maryland's chief legal officer, not the chief law enforcement officer. You got a state's attorney and a police chief and a sheriff that do that around the 24 counties in the state. The chief legal officer. I represent the state of Maryland, but I work for you. Right? And I make that clear with all my lawyers. We have the privilege of representing the Department of the Environment and the governor, and we represent the comptroller. But we work for the people. Think consumer protection, think criminal division, think antitrust and securities. And there's a lot of security scams that are really targeting Montgomery County of late. So we work for you. And part of that is what we do in holding the federal government accountable. The day after the election in November, when we knew that President Trump was coming back, Trump 2.0, I reached out to the governor and the General Assembly, and I said, I need to stand up a federal accountability unit. I need the resources and the authorities to do just that. So I want to thank the members of the General Assembly who are here. You are my board of directors. Thank you for the money. Thank you for the authority to do what we need to do to protect Marylanders. We stood up a federal accountability unit, and to date, we have joined or led 26 lawsuits against the Trump administration. And keep in mind that 26 represents a fraction of the lawsuits filed against the Trump administration. There are well over 300 lawsuits. And every entity and individual, whether you're an AG, whether you're a labor organization, a higher ed association, a business association, or a family or whomever, has a role in fighting in the courts against the Trump administration. So we filed 26. Who is we? Yeah, it's the state of Maryland, my federal accountability unit, and I got 700 lawyers in the Office of the Attorney General, not all of them every day in federal court doing this work, but all of them in their way participating in supporting our effort in court against the administration. I've got lawyers at the comptroller's office. They're scanning the horizon. What's coming out of Washington in that lane that can impact Marylanders, and they feed that to our federal accountability unit. We perfect the case, and then we do it in a multi-state coalition. We're not out there alone. I'm working with 22 other attorneys general. They all happen to be Democrats for obvious reasons. And believe me, when President Biden was in office, there were 20 plus Republican AGs that were stacking up and filing lawsuits all over the place. But what I want to tell you is of the 26 cases we filed, okay, and where we probably filed 22 motions for a preliminary injunction, meaning we went to the court and said, bad things are happening, we need you to stop it right away. We don't do that in every case. Some cases just play out. In about 20 cases, we said, we need immediate relief. And in those 20 cases so far, we've won 12 of those motions for preliminary injunction. Well, so what are the cases that we're filing? Some of them are protecting constitutional rights. Think birthright citizenship. We're disappointed by the ruling in the Supreme Court. Some were. I wasn't particularly disappointed. What the court said is when a federal judge provides relief, it doesn't apply across the nation. It only applies to the parties involved. That's not a good ruling, but it's not a showstopper. And why do I say that? Because just about 3 hours ago, I got word that a federal judge just issued a preliminary injunction for a class action that prevents or withdraws the executive order on birthright citizenship. So there is protections in place, and I'm very pleased that the courts are ruling that way. But we've done other things as well. We have filed a lawsuit when the administration pulled back NIH funding, and you know better than anyone, because NIH is in your backyard, how important it is in finding the cures to cancer and treatments for Alzheimer's, life-saving research that's going on, and we got a temporary restraining order, a preliminary injunction in that case. We led the effort. Maryland led the effort when the administration unlawfully fired 23,000 probationary federal employees. We went to federal district court in Baltimore, and we got a preliminary injunction that prevents them from firing probationary employees. So there are a lot of things that we're leading. Other cases that we're involved in, we're leading an amicus brief in a case filed also in Baltimore where it challenges the administration's defunding of health care provided, gender-affirming care. And think about our transgender community. I am the father of a transgender son, and I know the impact on the transgender community when you threaten health providers that you're going to throw them in jail if they provide that care, or if you threaten hospitals that you're going to defund any federal aid to that hospital because they're providing that care. We're leading the amicus brief in support of that case. So we're seeing attacks on you want to lead that applause? You can go a little bit louder, a little bit harder, why not? I'm still working on my delivery. We're protecting constitutional rights. We're protecting funding streams. There are, educational funding, transportation funding. There was years ago, the federal government said, okay, states, if you want certain federal highway funding, you have to, institute speed limits certain level. Well, that makes sense. Speed limits, it's related to federal transportation dollars. Well, what we're defending against is the federal government said, okay, Maryland and every other state, if you want federal transportation dollars, you've got to cooperate with ICE. And Maryland refuses to cooperate with ICE. So we're in court. We're co-leading that action with California, and we have a preliminary injunction supporting our position. We are protecting $600 million in education funding cuts. I mean, the list goes on. I had a PowerPoint presentation, 25 PowerPoints, one for each case. I thought you couldn't stand that, so I decided not to, just try to summarize it. I know you got a lot of questions that are going to come my way. So with that, let me turn it over to our comptroller, fantastic partner in public service, a great client, Brooke Learman.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Attorney General Brown. I try to be a good client, but every once in a while I give my lawyers my ideas too. I'm a recovering lawyer, so it is great to be here with all of you. Thank you so much, Congresswoman, for bringing us together. Thank you for being such an important leader. I'm so proud I went in and knocked doors for you, and I'm so glad you won and that she's here, and thank you to the 6th District for sending her. It's such a pleasure to work in state government with so many of our delegates, our great senator, and I know our great local leaders, mayor and county council members here as well. So it's great to see all of you. I'm Brooke Learman, for those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. I'm honored to serve as the 34th Comptroller of the state of Maryland. I think maybe I have the least self-explanatory title up here tonight. So just a quick word about
what I am and what I do. The Comptroller of Maryland, it's easy to think about my role as like the elected CFO of the state of Maryland, right? So I like to say we see every dollar into state government and every dollar out. I have 1,200 team members and 12 offices across the state, including one here in Maryland, right now in Wheaton, although it is moving soon. And I want to talk a little bit tonight about sort of the economics of what's happening at the federal level. Because when we see what's been happening over the past 5 months since the inauguration, we see it in many different ways as Marylanders. It's an existential crisis for Americans across the country, watching what's happening to our federal government, the retrenchment, the deconstruction of our agencies. It's an existential crisis. But for us, it's more than that. It's also incredibly personal, right? It's our neighbors losing their jobs. It's my sister-in-law being laid off from her refugee resettlement agency because USAID was dismantled, right? And it's not only just personal, it then also affects the state of Maryland because we have such a large, and are proud to have such a large federal worker contingency here, contractors, and of course grants. And so many months ago, we decided that we needed, as any responsible CFO would, to understand the bottom line, what the federal government really meant to the state of Maryland and into our economy specifically. And so we were proud to partner with the University of Maryland Smith School of Business, and we used our data and their data to produce, just a couple weeks ago, we published a report on the impact of the federal government on spending and jobs on Maryland's economy. And we did this for a lot of reasons, one of which is actually, as a former lawyer and litigator I know, sometimes you need facts to sow harm. And so now we can hand this over to our great Attorney General or any other nonprofit or advocacy group who needs it and wants to make sure that we have standing to sue in certain cases. But what did this show? So I'm going to give you just sort of a general synopsis, because there certainly is an economic storm at our doorstep, and unfortunately it's going to be Marylanders who really shoulder the burden of federal layoffs, reductions in funding, and shifts in how we deal with other countries. Keep in mind, we are, I think, the 18th largest state by population, but third in federal workforce. I do say, not to make light of it too much, but I like to talk about how we've had a very happy marriage with the federal government for decades. We've been in a great symbiotic relationship, but we are going through a very rocky time right now, seeking very heavy counseling. And so tonight, I want to just talk a little bit about the transition that we're looking at by reviewing briefly the investment we see from the feds, how that investment is eroding, and sort of what we as state leaders are doing to ensure that our state stays resilient. So first, how the federal government really impacts Maryland. So it's wages, it's contracts, it's grants. So what does that mean? For wages, we see $27 billion in wages to 230,000 federal civilian employees come to Maryland every year. So 230,000 federal employees. That's just civilian. That doesn't include anybody with top secret clearance, and it doesn't include folks at some of the forts around and military installations around the state as well. About 23% of those workers, or 54,000, live in Montgomery County. So you have the biggest share here in Montgomery County. If you're coming in from Frederick, also in District 6, about 10,000 workers live in Frederick County. And of course, many of these workers are in the Congresswoman's district, like she mentioned, NIST, Fort Detrick, and more. And one of the interesting things about the federal workers versus private sector workers is our federal government has been so essential to creating a solid middle class in Maryland. And it pays on average much higher than our private sector workforce. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. Then there's also contracts. Maryland companies have received $46 billion in federal contracts annually. It is 10%, federal contracting makes up 10% of our GDP every year. So it is a huge and significant piece, and I bet every single one of you knows somebody who works at a company that does contracting in some way, shape, or form with the federal government. You might not even know that you do, but statistically speaking, you probably do. And then, of course, there's grants, and we rely on $30 billion in federal grants. That's Medicaid, Medicare, foster care, FEMA, and other services that really support our children, our communities, our schools, and more. And it's worth remembering that these are not abstract investments, right? They support our seniors, protect our kids, create great jobs, and more. So what's happening now in this erosion? Well, this year, from March to May alone, 8,500 Marylanders lost federal jobs. To put that number into some historical context, does anybody remember sequestration during the Obama years? Well, during that entire period, we lost as a state 8,000 federal government jobs from 2013 to 2014. So over 2 years, 8,000 jobs, and it sent us into sort of a mini recession even because of that big cut in sequestration. But this year alone, we've lost 8,500 just in a few months. However, there's good news. There is good news. I'm not going to be all gloom and doom because we have seen those workers start to shift to the private sector. We've seen 4,700 private sector jobs added just in May, and actually our private sector is growing faster than any other state in the country right now. And this really ties into something that we've seen over the last few years since COVID, is that we've had a lower labor force participation rate, and private sector has had a really hard time hiring because folks have gone to the federal sector. But now that this retrenchment is happening in the federal government, the private sector is able to pick up some of these really highly skilled employees. So I'll just sort of close by saying, we are looking at all of these trends and keeping track of them to make sure our local leaders, our business leaders, our community leaders understand the numbers of what's happening on the ground. Because when we understand what's happening, we can make plans, we can make investment, we can make sure that we are moving our economy towards a more robust private sector and relying less on the federal government moving forward. Finally, I also want to note one final thing, which is about immigration. International immigration fuels Maryland's economy. Over almost 17% of our state is international immigrants, and over 20% of our workforce is international immigrants. So we are also keeping a very close eye on what is happening to international immigration. And I'm not just talking about undocumented. I mean, grad students at Hopkins, scientists at NIH, fellows who are working at some of the biotech companies up and down the 270 corridor, right? This is such an important part of Maryland's economy, and we've got to make sure that it is strong and that people know they're welcome here. And that's something that we're trying to do. So a huge thank you to all of you for coming out. I'm really delighted to be able to be providing this type of reporting and data to help our Attorney General, to help our members of Congress, and to make sure that all of you know how what's happening is impacting us so that we can prepare, plan, and build a more resilient economy and future together. Thanks all.
Thank you all very much. Okay, let's move on to the question and answer portion of this evening. I have the first question here. How can the Republicans, the party of fiscal responsibility, sleep well at night after adding so much money to the national debt? Now, that could have been written by quite a few people in this room. Who would like to take that on?
I'll start that if Brooke wants to jump in. I mean, it is, as I said, financial hypocrisy. I have no idea, and I think that there is a coercion, I think, by President Trump, and they are falling in line. Congressman Raskin made up RAGOO as the acronym. Republicans always give up, but or give in, either way. But I think it is. it is absurd because it really is saddling our country with debt that is going to be devastating for the youth of this country, and it's also going to really undercut our national security and U.S. competitiveness. And they know it, but I think that they are falling in line because they don't want to either be primaried or they are some maybe believe that there is going to be this explosion of growth, but I think most of them do know the implications and are kind of running from it. But it is hard for us all to sleep at night. I will say that our controller is going to be the one who kind of also is going to inherit a lot of the downshift of this, of both the cuts and what happens. So I'll pass it to her as how she thinks she's going to handle it.
Thanks so much. I don't know how they sleep at night about a lot of topics, I'll be honest. But certainly this is something that we're keeping a close eye on. So one of the parts of my agency is the Bureau of Revenue Estimates. So we are the chief economist for the state of Maryland, and we provide the official revenue forecast for the state, which is we tell the governor and the General Assembly, this is what we believe we'll bring in, and then they write our budget. And as a former member of the Appropriations Committee, I was in the General Assembly before I was elected comptroller. You all should know at the state level, we have to balance our budget every year. It is a constitutional requirement, and we do it every year. Yes. So it is incredibly hypocritical. It is frankly shocking to see many of them, including Maryland's lone Republican congressman, vote after crying foul year after year after year, claiming that Democrats in Maryland are spending too much when we balance our budget every single year. So it is very frustrating to see. We will be producing a report in the next 60 days out of the Bureau of Revenue Estimates that reviews what the revenue changes in the reconciliation bill at the federal level, what they mean for our tax structure and our tax code as well. So we'll have more information coming out to let the General Assembly, the governor, our county councils, county exec, and all of you know what it will mean for the state before they go back into session, so that they know what we need to deal with. But agreed with everybody who even thought of that question. It's really horrible. It's incredibly disingenuous. And I'll say, my generation, my kids' generations, we're going to be the ones who are dealing with it. So it's really, really frustrating and disheartening to see.
I was just standing here thinking, as a member of the Budget and Taxation Committee, it'd be really nice if you all got this taken care of before January, before we have to start considering our budgets.
We'll just tie it up with a bow.
Can you hear me? The one thing I would add is that we, at 2 in the morning, they started hearings at 2 a.m. in the morning to sneak this through, and many of us were loaded to bear with almost 400 amendments. We got there in the middle of the night. We were not going to let them. And I sat next to Johnny O, and we all gave amendments, but I gave a financial sanity circuit breaker amendment. Just if it went over 2.5% of GDP, that there would be a rescission of some of this, and it didn't go through. But we valiantly tried to make amendments. Sadly, they did not. Every single one of the 400 plus submitted was rejected.
Okay, next question. And this is the most popular question that was written down here tonight. Can the state do anything to ban ICE agents from wearing masks?
Maybe you start, and I'll say the fact.
Okay, so let me answer it this way. Think the Biden administration, the Obama administration, maybe you can go further back. There were restraints that were put on ICE. ICE did its job, and the Customs and Border Protection did their job, and whether they did it well or not, but there were restraints put on it by the federal government. For example, ICE, you can't go into courthouses, you can't go into churches, you can't go into hospitals, you can't go into schools, and you really didn't see ICE agents wearing masks in the Biden and the Obama administrations. And that's because that's leadership. That's presidential leadership saying you're going to execute the laws of the country, immigration law. That's their exclusive responsibility. And we're going to try to do that in a dignified, respectful, non-threatening way. And it's a tough job. You have an administration now that doesn't recognize any of those restraints. So the question that's being asked is not so much about mass, but a much broader question. Can state government put restraints on the federal enforcement or execution of immigration law? And the answer is universally decided and ruled on by the courts long ago that that is the federal purview. That is their job, their responsibility. And the states are not in a position to limit the execution of those laws, the immigration laws by ICE or Customs and Border Protection. Having said that, the General Assembly directed the Office of the Attorney General to put out guidance for certain locations around the state, schools, libraries, courthouses, the Comptroller's office, by request, which I applaud the Comptroller for asking the General Assembly to include those offices in it, to put in guidance in terms of, you know, what is the state's responsibility in cooperating with ICE, with providing them information? What is the state's responsibility, or state actors, state employees, heads of agencies and managers when ICE shows up, masked or unmasked, right? So for example, they can go into public space. If an ICE agent showed up right now, they could, if they register properly or whatever, they could come in and sit down. They can't go into private spaces, so we're providing guidance on how do you delineate between private and public. You can ask them for a warrant. They can only go into private space if they have a judicial warrant, right? So we've been able to put out guidance, and agencies are going to issue policy, but I wanted to take the time to explain this because I really want to dispel some of the misperception that state government can restrain federal law enforcement. The state government doesn't have the authority to do that. There are other laws that protect individuals, right? If in the course of their conduct and their duty, they violate someone's constitutional rights, the way they treat you, handle, detain you, we all have constitutional and some statutory protections. But as the state, we do not stand in the shoes of the community or individuals to be able to say, you can't wear a mask. So I wanted to do that I want to give you the context, right, in which we're operating, and then kind of focus in on the mask. We don't have the authority to act there.
So it is unbelievable how ICE has, and the $180 billion, yes, $180 billion put into the reconciliation bill to almost, I think, build up a military-like state in ICE, which I find it's terrifying, and something I want to definitely push back on multiple levels. I did vote yes on sanctuary cities for a lot of our immigrants, but I'm in the process of signing on. Representative Dan Golden put forth the No Secret Police Act, which banned masks on ICE agents. So I am in the process of joining on to that bill, and hopefully it will come up to the floor.
Can I add one other thing? I don't want anyone thinking that there's like nothing we can do. So as you may know, for example, there's a lawsuit filed in Federal District Court in Baltimore that challenges the inhumane detention of immigrants in the Baltimore, ICE office, right? It's supposed to be like 12 hours and you go somewhere. Some people have been there 24, 48, even longer, no food, no sanitation, whatever. So individuals have sued. We, as a state, we filed an amicus brief in support of that. And you say, well, why didn't you file a lawsuit? I'm going to take a minute here for a second here. Remember I said 300 lawsuits? We're involved in 26. The key question for the state, and as the lawyer I've got to be able to answer, does the state have standing? What does that mean? Can I articulate a harm not to the citizens and residents of Maryland, but to the state as government? So I couldn't articulate a harm to state government. And we looked at it. Well, if they're mistreating people, isn't that a really harm to the state? Because it increases the number of people that may have to go to the hospital and things like that. But the courts are not generous when it comes to standing. So another party that had standing, those who were actually mistreated and their families, and then we came in behind them. And we've done that in a number of cases, and it adds a lot of weight. So it's not like we don't do anything, right? But we're limited in what we can do.
Thank you. Okay, next question. As one of the 32,000 people in the 6th District who will lose Medicaid, what and/or where will the funding be pulled to support it in the state?
Well, I will say, you're right. 1 in 7 families in the 6th District does depend on Medicaid, 1 in 3 on CHIP. And it is, a travesty in terms of what we can do. I think that many of these cuts have been happening, and there's a great impact on our rural hospitals as well, as I said. But I think that the state, the way the reconciliation bill was written, is that they are offloading their cost share, a lot of those costs, onto the state governments. And I believe it's up to $75 million that Maryland will have to come up with to actually fill that hole, which is going to be difficult. And something I haven't really articulated enough, it's not that these states can handle, they could probably handle one thing, SNAP, or one thing, Medicaid, but it's the layering on of this, I keep calling it a tsunami, of all of these cumulatively together, the funding freezes, all of the different ways that they can look at education, all the different ways they're looking at SNAP and Medicaid. And so all of these things are layering on each other in a way with different, and there's different years by which that, some are 26, some are 28, but it's going to be very difficult for any state, no matter what their resources, to be able to be that stopgap. And I think that's why many of state legislatures are actually, probably not in Maryland, but are coming back into session to really reanalyze their priorities and figure out how to do that. But I would be, make sure to come to our office if you are one of those that are at risk of losing Medicaid, and we are opening up cases, and we will be there to really help in all ways we can, and to figure out if there's a way to find either alternative ways of funding or to make sure you don't lose it. But I will turn it over to Brooke and our Attorney General to say things as well.
Sure, I don't have too much to add. I think you said it really well, Congresswoman. I think, this is a bill that seeks to cost shift from the federal government to the states. It's hard for me to believe that any governor in America, even Republican governors, or at least their, treasurers or CFOs, were looking at this without apprehension. Understanding that, even in our, most rural and and some of the most Republican areas of the country, those are places where, of course, the Medicaid funding is really buoying their hospitals, and those hospitals are the biggest employers in their towns, and so it hurts the entire economy. I think so. It is, when we look at how much is cut from the federal government, the idea that every state will be able to just one-to-one match that, just make it up, it's just not reality with where our state budgets across the nation are right now. So I think what we are really focused on is understanding what parts of our economy can grow, so that we can generate additional revenue, keep our economy moving, keep it growing, generate that additional revenue through the, bringing people in and supporting businesses, making sure that we're able to generate revenue so that we can do as much as we can, right? And of course, the General Assembly, the governor will have really challenging decisions to make with limited resources about how to make sure that we're supporting people the best that we absolutely can.
Okay.
And make no this is, if you think about it, this is their way of going after the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare. What they did is all those Medicaid expansions that really helped the Affordable
Yep.
Care Act, and 95% of our country
Yep, can take us
have
backwards.
health care. They are ripping it away.
Yep.
They were so mad they couldn't do it another way that they defunded it. And it's heartbreaking, and something, why we have to, flip the house and have a guardrail. But it is but it is going to really bite a lot of these rural areas, particularly Republican areas. Senator Capito, my Republican colleague in the Senate, actually raised this issue and asked for a $25 to $30 billion rural hospital fund. It didn't get through in the final Senate bill, but they realize it's a problem.
Okay, the next one is aimed at the comptroller here. Everything is super scary right now. Is there anything that us Marylanders can feel hopeful about?
Not sure why that's just me. Thank you for the question. I will tell you, I feel really hopeful when I see a room like this full of people who care. And I don't mean that, I don't mean to be trite. I think it's true. I think, one of the wonderful things that I've seen happen over the past few months is it's not just the record number of people turning out at protests, in front of NIH to support our workers there, or on No King's Day, or anyway. It's not just that. It's also the work that's happening in our community every day, whether it's extra volunteers showing up at the Up County Hub, whether it's folks showing up at some of the other food banks around the state, donations to libraries. I think one of the things that we're seeing is that people are recognizing the need to support our institutions. We're seeing a complete and total deconstruction of norms and federal agencies and programs that we've relied on for decades and that have been helping our neighbors and our friends and our colleagues, whether it's discovering cures for cancer or ensuring that folks have medical insurance. And it's incredibly cruel and chaotic, and it's hard to witness. But we are witnessing it, and we are not backing down. We're not looking away. We're supporting one another. We're showing up at rallies. We're posting on Facebook. We're posting on letting our relatives around the country and our friends around the country understand the devastation effect that it has. I think you have started to see a turn in sentiment around immigration and around deportation because people are starting to see the stories that are coming out. They're starting to understand the incredibly damaging effect this will have on our economy, that it's having on our neighbors and on our friends. And so it's really painful to go through this deconstruction of our institutions and our norms right now, but it's essential that we hold together, because on the other side, there's going to be reconstruction. And it's really important that we pull our institutions through, that we pull ourselves through, because on the other side, we are going to need to rebuild. And so I'm really proud of the work that our Attorney General, our federal electeds, our General Assemblies, our county councils, our local governments are doing. I'm proud of all the work that I see Marylanders doing now through the hardest times. And then together, we are going to get through this so that we can rebuild after we win in 2 years, and we win in 3 years, and we win in 4 years. So, and we've got to get through this and support one another so that we can do that together. Thanks.
I'm hopeful because the courts are still working, and I mentioned that earlier, and Representative McClain-Delaney said the same. And, I even look at the Supreme Court, on the Abrego Garcia case. Said, okay, administration, you have to facilitate the return. Now, the administration took, 3 weeks to do it, and a lot of pain and suffering to the Mr. Abrego Garcia and his family, no doubt. But that was a good decision. Even on the birthright citizen, right? They limited relief to the parties, but they upheld the merits of our case to invalidate that executive order. So I'm hopeful when I see district court judges appointed by both Democrat and Republican presidents that are invalidating the actions of this administration. I'm hopeful that we have more wins than losses in our preliminary injunctions in these cases. So while we're not always going to like every outcome from the courts are functioning. There are some principles that they continue to adhere to: federalism, states' rights. We're going to get bad decision, there's no doubt, but I do remain hopeful.
I would echo both of those comments, but I think the courts are going to be the saving grace here for us all. And if the courts hold, I say it again, I think we're going to get through this, and they will. The other part is I could just say that all the communities, I look across Frederick or Montgomery County, all the different nonprofits and Rotaries and different stakeholders who are coming together to figure out how to fill the gaps. And it's going to be a lot, but there are a lot of communities that are really stepping up to the plate.
Okay. The next one goes to Attorney General Anthony Brown. What does the Supreme Court case on birthright citizenship mean for children of immigrants in the U.S.?
So birthright citizenship, you got to go back to the 1890s, and the Supreme Court issued an opinion, a ruling, and a case coming out of San Francisco, sort of affirming that provision in the 14th Amendment, that if you are born on U.S. soil, you are a citizen of the United States, with the only exception if you're a child of a diplomat who's here for diplomatic purposes, then you're not. And there may be a few other exceptions. Now, what's the genesis? Well, it was from 14th Amendment, was one of the amendments that was curative in nature, addressing the legacy of slavery, right? What do you do with the children of those involuntarily brought to America? Are they citizens or not? So the 14th Amendment said, if you're born here, you're a citizen. But years later, the Supreme Court said, and in that case, it was an Asian American family, said, no, your child is born here. Your child is a citizen of the United States. You know, fast forward 130 years. Not even Congress trying to overturn or reverse that. Not even a district court that tried to do it. A president by executive order wanted to invalidate a Supreme Court decision saying if you're born in the United States, you're a citizen of the United States. So when the Supreme Court looked at it a few weeks ago, the Supreme Court said, you've got 23 states and a few individuals that have brought this action, and the district courts issued a nationwide injunction. So even if your state's not in it, or even if you're not a party to it, the federal district court, one in Washington, one in Rhode Island, said it applies to everyone. And the Supreme Court said, we've got some issues with nationwide injunctions, so we're going to limit it. We're going to say that injunctions, with a few exceptions, injunctions only apply to people who are parties to the case, or if it's so obvious that it can only be statewide, it can only be national. Now, birthright citizenship obviously has to be national. So, and if it's a class, right, a class action, right? So you got 100 people filing a lawsuit on behalf of millions of people. So just this afternoon, so they reversed it, they sent it down, but they didn't rule on the merits. So this afternoon, in a class action filed to invalidate that executive order that tried to deny birthright citizenship, a federal district court said, I am going to grant preliminary injunctive relief to this class, so it now applies to the class around the nation. So that's the status of birthright citizenship. So you know the government's going to challenge it. But I think on standing, I think that class is going to be rock steady. Okay, it's going to be rock steady. And then this case is going to work its way through so that ultimately the Supreme Court, I think, will ultimately rule on birthright citizenship. I wouldn't hold your breath. It's not going to happen this year. And it's not even in front of the Supreme Court now. So it could be 2 or 3 years now from when it is decided. But the important thing is there's now a preliminary injunction for the entire class nationwide, issued by a federal district court judge. That'll go up on appeal. I'm confident that that's gonna stand on appeal. But I don't have the crystal ball, but I feel pretty confident about that.
Okay, the next question's for you, too.
I'll be briefer.
You don't give a politician a microphone and same word with brief.
I'm not a politician, I'm a lawyer.
There you go. Okay, is it illegal for those law firms to make deals with Trump to not sue his administration?
I'm speechless. No. There are different views on, and in fact, Congresswoman McClain Delaney and I had a very spirited conversation a few weeks ago. And within the legal community, there's sort of a different views on law firms' response to the Trump administration. Okay, no doubt they are being coerced into taking certain actions. Some would argue, like Paul Weiss, how can you coerce this major national law firm to do something? They've got the resources. Wilmer Hale, I came out of Wilmer Hale. Wilmer Hale fought back. Right? I graduated from Harvard. Harvard fought back, so why is not every law firm fighting back? Those law firms, whether they should fight back or not, they too, I believe, and I think there's some disagreement, they too are victims of this oppressive, tyrannical, dictatorial presidency of Donald Trump. Some people cave, some people don't. So they caved. The question whether it's illegal or not, I don't know the facts beyond in the conversations to be able to say whether it's illegal or not. But certainly if a president coerces someone to do something that they otherwise wouldn't do, and the president doesn't have the legal authority to exact that from an individual or an entity, it raises serious concerns about illegality. But I don't know enough about these cases, and I'm not sitting here as just an elected official. I'm the chief legal officer of the state of Maryland, so I'm going to be very careful in what I characterize as unlawful and not unlawful.
So Congressman Min and I threw down the gauntlet on this issue, and I think it is horrible. Because what the Trump administration is trying to do is to take the top law firms in the country and get them to give pro bono hours to them. But why they did it is because underneath it all, they had, SEC matters or matters with different government agencies before the United States government. And the ones that caved, so that they wouldn't have the ire of the Trump administration, said, we'll do this pro bono work. But think of the chilling effect. If you were someone who was an immigrant or had a Social Security issue or what have you, and you needed help and some sort of litigation on your behalf, if you're going to go against Paul Weiss or Skadden Arps or any of these big law firms, a lawyer is going to think twice maybe before taking it up. And I also think that Congressman Min and I put forth a series of questions to each of the law firms as to why they did it, what was the motivation for doing it. Because if they're offering something to a government official, like the Trump administration, in exchange for not being targeted, we think that is a lawless action. And we also think a lot of state bars across the country also would think it is a conflict of interest with other clients. So we're in the process of gaining more information from all these law firms, but I will say that those law firms that fought back against it won in court, and those that caved to this administration are having workforce and reputational fallout, economic fallout, and political fallout. And so it's a very sorry state for these law firms, but it is really important writ large to have judicial integrity and for everybody to be able to have their day in court.
Yeah.
And Maryland joined as an amicus party to those actions filed by the law firms that fought against Trump's coercive activities. We did join as an amicus brief party in those cases.
I think I'm just going to add one quick note. As a former federal litigator, both of my firms that I worked at were fought back, which I'm proud of. But there's also a question of who the state of Maryland does business with and contracts with. As somebody who was a lawyer and fought really hard for my clients, to me, when I saw this, I was outraged, appalled, and then I said, they're never getting a dime of our taxpayer dollars. Because, if they are going to capitulate that easily to a White House that says this, then that's not who I want to be my lawyer. It means they're not going to fight for me. And I think within 30 minutes of the Paul Weiss settlement being public, I had texted the Attorney General saying, have we hired Paul Weiss for anything? And we have not. But sometimes we do hire law firms. The AG can't do it all, or sometimes they're conflicted out. And so we hire law firms to represent the state in different matters. That all comes to the Board of Public Works, which I am very proud to sit on. And so I just, I think it's important for law firms to know that I'm a no vote. If you capitulate to the White House on this, I don't think you're going to be doing a good enough job for the state of Maryland. And so, maybe don't bother trying. So I think it's important to think about, even when these things happen, what is Maryland's response to them, and making sure that we are standing up for ourselves and making sure that we're not making a party of ourselves to this bad behavior. And I'm proud that we can do that.
Thank you. Okay, we're coming up onto our last question, but before I do that, let me just say the addresses are up there. If you, for some reason, didn't get your question answered tonight, don't hesitate to send an email to Congresswoman's address up there. A lot of her staff members are people that I've worked with over the years, and she's got a fabulous staff. So don't hesitate to, and the other two do too, by the way. Don't hesitate to ask your question, because we really want to see everybody get your questions answered. Okay, so this last one for the comptroller, and then everyone. With the big, beautiful bill passing Congress, what do you think is the worst cut for Marylanders?
I mean, I actually, this is not a fair answer, but I actually think one of the things that the Congresswoman has said, and which I'll echo, is that it's sort of death by 1,000 cuts. And that's really the challenge here, is that there wasn't just one thing in the bill that's going to hurt our budget and hurt Marylanders. There were so many. I will talk about, one thing though that the Medicaid cuts are awful, that SNAP cuts are awful. Some of the ICE increases are awful, and I think if there's one theme throughout this bill, it is looking for a way to make immigrants unhappy in America, right? It is looking for a way to ensure that we are actively saying, we don't want you here. We're not going to help your kid. You're not going to help you through childbirth. We're not going to help you with SNAP. We're going to make sure that there's more and more agents who can carry out their mass deportation. And I think in a state that's as blessed to be as diverse as Maryland is, it really makes it even more important for us at the state level to support our immigrant communities and to do what we can to support one another. It is really a theme of this administration that they are always looking for any tiny or big way to make people from other countries feel like we don't want them, when in fact, we are a nation of immigrants and always have been. And so I think that was hard to see.
Okay. Do you want to answer that one, or are you ready to give your closing remarks?
I'll close.
That wasn't my closing remark.
We're going to let the Congresswoman
I
go
want to
first.
identify what I think is the
Congresswoman's
most
gonna
difficult
start.
cut,
She's going
because I
first.
got 250 people in this room, and I think, whatever cut affects you, that's the most important one.
Yeah. There you go. Okay.
But you-
Congresswoman, do you want to go ahead with some closing
The only
remarks?
thing I am I agree with Brooke in so many ways. And also, I think as hard as it is in Montgomery County, there are a lot of extra safety net programs and additional places. I am very, very concerned also about Western Maryland, these farmers are really hit by tariffs, but also just because they have a lot less transportation, a lot less infrastructure, less rural hospitals. And so when I look across the whole 6th district, it is death by 1,000 cuts. But, one of the cruelest, I also think, is just denying food to our kids. Because, to think of children going to school hungry, to me, is just heartbreaking. So that's a hard one. But, it is, we will fight back. So I'm going to wrap up just a little bit and just say, I just want to I just want to thank you all for showing up and for being here, because it is really important. And in our house, we always say, you can't fake showing up, but we got to stand up. And I know it feels discouraging, but actually I feel encouraged by you all, as our controller said, and your voices matter. So we're going to keep fighting. Our office is really open. We have 120,000 plus, but we know that we're going to have thousands and thousands more every week. But I'm going to give you, if you have any questions or need help, you can call us at 301-926-0300 or send us a message at mcleandelaney.house.gov. And again, a big thank you to Senator King for moderating, for Montgomery College, and to obviously these two incredible colleagues and friends from Maryland. And I'm going to let them each say some closing remarks as well. And I will stay afterwards if any of you need to ask me any questions.
Well, and thank you. Thank you, April, for inviting us, and thank you to the 6th District for coming out this evening and supporting your Congresswoman, who's doing a fantastic job on Capitol Hill. It's a tough environment to get things done, but you still have to, like you said, show up, stand up, and fight for what you believe in and fight for the people who you represent. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for sending her to Congress as part of one of, I think, the strongest delegations. I think my website's up here. I hope it is. Yep, good. Please go there. You'll see things like Know Your Rights for the immigrant community. You'll see things there for guidance when it comes to DEI, because that's under assault, under attack, both in the public sector and in the private sector. We've got information up there. We've got information about rights in hospitals and health care settings. Next week we'll be putting out guidance and posting it there as well, in terms of the guidance to state agencies on how to interact with ICE agents. So there's a lot of good information up there. Go to our website. You'll also see much more detail on the 26 actions that we've joined and the status of those actions. And what you'll see is whether we're protecting constitutional rights or focusing on funding streams ranging from transportation, education, healthcare, higher education, seeing major cuts in higher education. It's not the cuts that you're thinking about in the big bill, right? Those are congressional cuts. I'm talking about the cuts that the administration is making in the current budget. And that's what we're defending against. So it's a privilege to be able to serve you and work for you in that capacity and to work with some great public servants. So again, thanks for coming out. I'll turn it over to Brooke.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here with you all. I know everybody has busy lives and lots to do, so we really appreciate you coming to be here. You're the tip of the spear, so we hope that you'll take this information back to your neighbors and friends and colleagues to make sure that they know too what is going on and how to stand up. I'll just conclude by saying, look, I think we have to use all the tools in the toolbox right now, and we even have to build some more tools sometimes. So just a couple of examples, my agency had never put out reports like this before, but now we're doing it to make sure that we have the data that we need to fight back in court, to make sure we can prepare our economy to pivot to be more private sector based. I talked about what we can do at the Board of Public Works to make sure that we're using our tax dollars in a way that it aligns with our values and that achieves best value. Didn't even mention the pension system. But look, we are an investor in Tesla, and I've been working with my state financial officer colleagues across the nation to lead the charge against Elon Musk. We were in the New York Times yesterday leading an effort to demand accountability from the board and from Elon, and they finally capitulated and set a date for their shareholder meeting. So, yeah, so, you know, it's this kind of work. I could go on. Like, we just set up the Maryland Community Investment Corporation, a brand new community development entity that's going to take advantage of some tax credits that are continuing from the federal level so that we can do more building here to provide for low-income communities. So, it's this kind of work that I love being able to do it, to be creative, and some great ideas come from all of you. So please keep in touch. We just launched a brand new website. It's marylandcomptroller.gov. You can learn there. You can find some of our reports, find out what we're doing, learn more about the agency, and keep in touch with us. We have a monthly newsletter that we send out, and we'd love to let you know everything that we're working on. I'm really honored to do this work. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you, to work with you, and to make sure that we're all working together to build a better Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.